This podcast is supported in part by Carolina Forward, a nonpartisan organization that advocates for ideas, policies, and values to build a stronger North Carolina that works for all its people as a strong, diverse, multiracial democracy.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Foxfire Dispatch, the show where we dig into what's happening in the South from the halls of power to the art and culture that keeps us going. I'm Liz, a pragmatic progressive organizer located in Granville County, North Carolina.
And I'm Gina, and I am in local government in Western North Carolina. And today we've got a little bit of everything. We're starting with Bernie Sanders' Fight the Oligarchy tour stops right here in North Carolina, what they mean for our state and for the bigger fight ahead. And then I've got a Carolina sound check pick that you won't want to miss.
And we will also hit Reality Check, where I've been watching another new reality series, this one about building a band. And yes, there's plenty to say about group dynamics and leadership there that is relevant to the political world. Plus, we'll also share a poem offering a new national anthem by the former U.S. Poet Laureate Ada Limón, because sometimes just a nice dose of language really helps you breathe a little deeper, take a little break, and keep going.
Before we wrap up, we'll bring you back to Oxford for one of Liz's favorite days of the years, the North Carolina Hot Sauce Festival, which I'm so excited to hear about because politics is serious work, but so is gathering in community and eating something that makes your eyes water.
So let's jump to our main North Carolina story this week. Bernie Sanders came to town twice, and his Fight the Oligarchy tour made stops in Greensboro and in Asheville, rallying folks around the country's growing wealth gap and corporate power and the need for a working class movement that is actually going to deliver for working class and poor people. Gina, I know you were at the Asheville stop with like some of our friends. How was it?
Yeah, it was so fun. Reverend Barber was there and he did a great job of getting people fired up. He's incredible at doing that. Did you ever go to a Moral Monday that he led?
No, I remember when they were happening, and I've like definitely seen him speak on TV, and I think I saw him speak at a presidential rally of some kind
Yeah,
last year, but not at a Moral Monday.
he's phenomenal. And actually Bernie got on right after him and was like, "How am I supposed to follow that?" Like that's how good he was. Also a nurse from the Mission United nurses came and spoke. She is part of the union who organized after HCA took over. HCA is the largest for-profit hospital corporation in the US, and they took over our local nonprofit hospital in Asheville about 5 years ago, and quality standards in care have gone down. So the nurses in Asheville at Mission decided to unionize. And when she was talking about it, we like lost our mind. Like, what a perfect place and setting for somebody in that position who has recently organized to come in and talk about what that experience was like, and for it to be something that everybody relates to. Everybody in that room has had an experience with Mission Hospital because we're all Asheville adjacent. So it was really, really powerful lineup of speakers. And then, of course, Bernie did his Bernie stuff of talking about the things that we've come through before and the things that we can get through together now, and really focused on some of the specifics of how we got here. So we talked about Citizens United and why that has continued to be such a massive problem. He talked about wealth and income disparities and just really did a great job of shining a light on the way that if we all work together, we can make a change because there are more of us than them. So it was really uplifting and hopeful. And plus, we got to see some of our favorite Dem girlies and boys. Girlies is not gender specific here. Girlies is just like the friends who were there. So it's a good time.
I'm so glad you got to go. It was not in the cards for me to go to Greensboro or Asheville this past weekend, and I've never seen Bernie Sanders, but I'm so intrigued by like his path through politics and like his overall ethos of like working class solidarity. And I just continue to come back to like we can do these hard, expensive, but people's life improving things. It's just a matter of deciding to pay for it, deciding what we're paying for, whether it's fighter jets that sit in air hangars or bloated Pentagon budgets or like fucking expanding ICE. And like, we could be subsidizing healthcare. We could be subsidizing free college. Privatizing the hospital seems like the wrong way, the opposite way we want to be going, you know?
Yes. Yes. So something that when you talked about Bernie's political trajectory, this sparked for me remembering that I was on a call with him via Run for Something a couple weeks ago, and he talked about his first mayoral election in Burlington, Vermont, which was in 1981. He won that race by 10 votes. Isn't that crazy?
Can you imagine how different this like person's the trajectory of 45 years of this man's life would have I'm guesstimating, but like
Yeah.
how different his decades would have been if 20 different people showed out to vote like that.
I know. I was like, there's and I felt like that is something that we should all be talking about all the time. Like we know Bernie Sanders because 10 people voted. That's crazy. So I got really amped on that.
I also saw some pretty great clips from the Greensboro stop of the tour. It really seemed like a vibe, like standing room only, young organizers, also like a lot of union members, a lot of people who look like students, a lot of older progressives that I'm going to assume have been fighting this fight for decades. Um, and also like probably a lot of folks for whom it was their first rally, or at least some folks for whom it was their first like political event. And I think that's really cool when there's like somebody who's got the name ID or the like charisma to get folks out who maybe aren't out all the time every time we have a political event. And Bernie's message like consistent through both cities as we would expect. It's not just the concentration of the power and the wealth at the hands of a few billionaires. Like, it's not just immoral, it's also truly incompatible with like the ideals of democracy.
Yeah. And he did a really good job of connecting those dots between corporate greed and everyday struggles and the everyday struggles that we see in North Carolina. We've got housing costs that are astronomical, our wages aren't keeping up, healthcare that's still treated as a privilege instead of a right. And he kept coming back to the point that we do have the resources to fix those problems. We don't have the political will because of who is bankrolling our politics.
Yeah, and I just like one note about like the wages issue I've seen recently. This idea that wages in the past 50 years, if they had kept up with inflation, minimum would not be 7.25, it would be $66 an
Oh
hour.
my God.
And like, yeah, I know, right? Like, no wonder we can't afford two bathroom homes, like, or one
66.
bathroom homes. Yeah, that's a six-figure like life. Um, yeah, I just
Hmm.
thought that of course of course the gap is of course so many people are falling through the cracks
Yeah.
when what we've got in this state is not $10 a fucking hour.
Yeah.
And that was like, for across the country, but even still, and it's those kind of things that like are incredibly those kind of shitty fucking facts that are really galvanizing to folks who care about working class issues like Bernie. And he was pretty direct about what we need to do to fix those problems, right? He talked about getting organized, running for office, joining unions, participating in your union, um, and not trying to let the far right and corporate Democrats keep calling the shots. The fact that he also picked Greensboro and Asheville is, I think, kind of telling, in that both are progressive pockets of this purple ish state.
Yeah.
Um, but both really have deep histories of labor and activism. And of course, I was just really glad to see him in Asheville, west of Charlotte.
I would show you my map of counties with the line where Western North Carolina is because uh we are really bossy about
Uh
what
huh.
is Western North Carolina. Yes, so to your point, in Asheville, he really emphasized building solidarity across movements, so climate justice, racial justice, which is a huge deal in Greensboro's history, reproductive rights, all tied to economic justice. And that message was clear that these fights are connected, and if we don't see them that way, then we're just going to keep losing ground.
Yeah, completely. And part of why this matters for North Carolina is that we are staring down the 2026 midterms with a Republican supermajority in the state legislature, and national Democrats who are struggling to hold Congress and a Senate seat that's up here in North Carolina. So whether you love Bernie or not, although again, if you don't, we're looking at you a little crooked. Um, the urgency of building working class power here is honestly not up for debate.
Yeah. And to that end, if you felt inspired hearing about this event, you can plug into your local political organization, into a mutual aid network or a union. These billionaires are not going to fight themselves, and the cavalry is not coming. It's us.
All right, so now we're gonna head on over to Carolina Soundcheck, the section where Gina tells us about an awesome song musical artist that she's listening to. Who do you want to tell us about this
Yes,
week?
I am super excited about this one because you'll recall that Elizabeth McCorvey and Kate Lee Bryant are the geniuses behind our intro and segment music. They wrote it, arranged it, and recorded it at our friend Michael's home studio. And just released her original album, which is called Songs I Sent You. Incredible title off the bat, right?
I love that. Yeah, it's like there's something a little sassy
Yeah, and
about it.
she's the sassiest. And the songs, like, it's so funny when you know like some of the personal stuff that goes on for people, and then you watch them make that into art. And she's pretty transparent. I mean, she doesn't pull a lot of punches about what's going on. So the first song is called Riot Blues, and it is very of the times, right? It's about the political landscape that we're in right now. It's very profound. Elizabeth is a black banjo, fiddle, and guitar player. She was born and raised in Kentucky. She lives in Western North Carolina now. And so she talks a lot about that experience, about a lot of the grief that we feel watching what's going on around us. Also, some like fun and personal things about interpersonal relationships, standing strong in your belief system, not apologizing when you shouldn't. And it's a really incredible album that pulls a lot of different musical styles. So you can get it pretty much anywhere. I bought mine on Bandcamp. If you listen to music by small artists, it's so important that you buy it. Albums on Bandcamp are like $6. Pay your friends for their art. Go wherever they're selling it and buy it. Buy their merch, wear it around, talk about them, play their stuff. And Elizabeth had her album release party last week, which was incredible because she does not shy away from an event where like she is the focus. So she was literally wearing a crown and just having like the best time with all of her musician friends. Her sister came, her mom came. They were also proud of her. It was really, really cute and sweet. And the album's amazing. And she is a North Carolina girly these days. She's also a therapist. So she hustles. And I wish that every person that was listening to this would go check out Elizabeth and what she's up to because it's incredible and we're so proud of her and she's worked really fucking hard and she deserves all the love and flowers.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm so glad you wanted to talk about songs I sent you today. I must confess that I have brought up this album at least twice, started to listen, went, I can't listen to this and
Yeah.
multitask, and I have to multitask right now. So I'm gonna stop this and I'm gonna come back to the album. So
Good.
I've got some drives this week. I'm excited to like turn it on while I'm on a
Yes.
drive and not like writing emails or working on spreadsheets at the same
Yes,
time.
I have listened to it enough now that it can be like some background music, but like some of those songs get stuck in my head. Like it's so cool when your friends make cool stuff. Like I'll never get over it. It'll never stop being amazing to me. And this album is just a really prime example of that, where she put her whole heart into it, and it's a really beautiful thing to see your friends process in such a real-time way. So yeah, give it a listen. Tell me what your favorite song is after you listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I will do that. I'll randomly text you
Yes.
at some
I
point
can't
this
wait. I
week.
look forward to that. I will
Yay.
send screenshots to Elizabeth.
Uh Also, I would just like to say we would love to like put clips into this podcast. We just also haven't quite figured out how to not get taken down off of YouTube if we because I feel like this like a new album would be so great, so cool to be like, and here are 15 or 20 seconds. Um, but YouTube's real smart about copyrighted music, and we don't know what to do about that. So
Yeah. And for this one specifically, um what I'd love to do is link the album somewhere so that people can at least,
yeah.
easy access find it on Bandcamp. Maybe they don't know Elizabeth's name offhand. But I don't want you to forget by the end of this podcast to go listen to it. So we'll link it somewhere for y'all to find it.
So it sounds like it is maybe now time for our reality check segment, a little segment where I talk with Gina about the show that's been keeping me from staring too hard at the news this week. And this week, that show, I just finished it last night, is Building the Band. Have you heard of
No,
this one?
no, much to everyone's surprise. I have never heard of this and I have never watched it, but tell me all about it.
So this is part music competition, part social experiment. It's stolen a little from Love is Blind in that it starts with each of these individual singers in like their own little pod. And so they bring together this whole group of singers, a lot of whom are like, well-rounded musicians in other ways too. They're in different backgrounds, different genres. Um, and they like start off like singing their own song to this whole group of all these other singers in their pods, where all they can do is they can just like listen to this person, and they get to decide whether they like are open to being in a band with that person
Okay.
or not. And so this big group starts like forming kind of smaller groups to have conversations and like see if they're gonna come together in threes or fours or fives. um and they form these bands without seeing each other, so that you're not getting the whole like, do we look good together? Like they're thinking about sound, they're thinking about like their music, their voices blending. And then when they're together, they're performing different like major hits from the last couple of decades as their new band mates like performing together. And then they're also like living together in their own little condos, each band, over the course of the competition.
Okay. What what is the band makeup? It's a singer, a guitarist, a bass player, and a drummer?
No, so it's like it's a little more like we're trying to form boy bands or
Okay.
girl bands. So we're like trying to find the next One Direction or
Okay, so
Destiny's
it's singers.
Child. Um
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, very like singers who maybe also play the
Okay.
guitar. Like they're forming groups of singers to then be singers and
Okay.
dancers together,
Okay. Okay.
kind of.
So it's partially like The Voice, partially maybe like Big Brother.
Yeah, definitely like some amalgamation of
Okay.
those shows. There's uh a couple of guest mentors.
Who?
Um there's a Nicole Scherzinger. I think she's from the Pussycat
Okay.
Dolls. It was Kelly Rowland from
Hmm.
Destiny's Child. And then Liam from One Direction from
Cute.
like before he passed away.
Aw.
Yeah. So that was cool, like kind of group of three to like be watching the bands perform and giving feedback. Um and it, there's a lot of different personalities and everybody's so young. Like everybody I feel dumb and
Yeah.
starting to get old, but it's like 19, 20, 22, and like some of these folks are like, I mean, like working people, like I'm not in school, like I'm busking and that's how I'm making my living, like, so like they're, but it just from the perspective of 30s, I'm like, oh my, you sweet
Yeah.
summer children. What a big leap of faith to like jump on this show and try to, what a big leap of faith to like try to make
Yeah.
it as a musician. I just think I have a lot of um admiration and also just like, oh, wow, that
Yeah.
sounds so hard for people who choose to like, I will try to make my living in the arts. Like it's
Yeah.
incredibly difficult.
So much respect
Um
for that.
so yeah, so like please, none of my like talking about this show, please do not take it as like any kind of poo-pooing on those life choices. I think those are like incredibly brave. Um but also, there's
Yeah.
like silly drama stuff that happens. Like
Yeah.
this one guy quits because he gets girl crazy and keeps missing rehearsal, and he has to be reeled back in by his band members who are like, "We just can't do it
Tale as
without
old
you,
as
bro."
time. That is a music industry standard, I feel. So what do you feel like, is there like a bigger people make cool art?
I mean, I think we can make of it perhaps like an organizing
Yes, do it.
metaphor. Whether you're on this show or you're thinking about organizing, you've got limited time, limited resources. You are trying to build something together with people who have different styles and different strengths and different priorities, and your success is going to depend on whether you can put your ego aside for the good of the group, like for the common good of electing people who represent our values, even if maybe the people that you're working with are quirky or hard to work with, or like want to do less effective things than more effective things. We still got to work together. These are the people we have. And on the show or on organizing, you gotta adapt to like the situation on the ground because it's
Yeah.
gonna change, so you've got to be flexible. And like, yeah, whether you're building like a band group or an organizing group, that's
I
coalition
love
building,
that.
right?
The politics to art through line is consistently apparent, especially if you like both. I think it's easy to find a line there. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a show that I might
Yeah.
check out.
Honestly, it was really enjoyable. It's like 8 or 9 episodes on Netflix, so it's not super long. And the last 2 minutes of it, this is not a spoiler for the show, but they showed like Liam in the crowd having a good time while the song played, the "You Don't Know You're Beautiful" One
Oh,
Direction song, and like he was interacting with fans and like people were just loving it, and it just seemed like I don't know a lot about One Direction. What I know of him is that he was like
yeah.
troubled and sad, right? And so it just seemed like a really nice, happy
That's sweet.
moment of like getting some flowers, and I thought it was really cool that that's how they
That's
chose to
really
close it out.
sweet. Um,
So if you're a One Direction fan, girly, go ahead to like the last
yeah,
episode of Build the Band for like the last 5 minutes and have some serotonin
I
come
have
through.
some friends who are significantly younger than I am, like 10 years younger, who like cried, like like had a bad day, like really felt it deeply um when he passed. And I think that band was like really meaningful to a lot of people. So I've got some texts to send about that show. I kind of feel sure that they
Oh.
know. Like I feel like the One Direction girlies are always on top of everything in their universe, like how I am as a Swiftie. They're the same way. Like it's cute. I love little friendships that happen over art. It's sweet. We need it.
And I think, even if it's like, One Direction was not my thing, but I've cared deeply about a band before, and will again, like for sure. And I, yeah, have a lot of empathy for that. The parasocial
Yeah.
loss, you cared about somebody in life that it just didn't end the way you would want it to for them. And
Yeah,
you get
absolutely.
that. So,
Well,
Um,
this is a perfect transition into
um,
talking about how even art is political.
it is. I like the mix of music, art, culture, and politics that has shaped
Yeah.
up on this particular episode. Um, and I'm so stoked to share this poem with you and with everybody. So, Ada Limon is our most recent poet laureate. Like, I don't even think somebody else has been named since she stepped down. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think this stupid administration has named a new U.S.
Mm.
poet special person. Um, but Ada Limon is like one of my favorite poets. She's like her first book that this is in is like one that I have just carried with me through a lot of places and situations. So this poem is called A New National Anthem. The truth is, I've never cared for the national anthem. If you think about it, it's not a good song. Too high for most of us with the rocket's red glare, and then there are the bombs. Always, always there is war and bombs. Once I sang it at homecoming and threw even the tenacious high school band off key. But the song didn't mean anything, just a call to the field, something to get through before the pummeling of youth. And what of the stanzas we never sing? The third that mentions no refuge could save the hireling and the slave. Perhaps the truth is, every song of this country has an unsung third stanza, something brutal, snaking underneath us as we blindly sing the high notes with a beer sloshing in the stands, hoping our team wins. Don't get me wrong, I do like the flag, how it undulates in the wind, like water, elemental, and best when it's humbled, brought to its knees, clung to by someone who has lost everything. When it's not a weapon, when it flickers, when it folds up so perfectly you can keep it until it's needed, until you can love it again, until the song in your mouth feels like sustenance, a song where the notes are sung by even the ageless woods, the short grass plains, the Red River Gorge, the fistful of land left unpoisoned. That song, that's our birthright, that's sung in silence when it's too hard to go on, that sounds like someone's rough fingers weaving into another's, that sounds like a match being lit in an endless cave, the song that says, my bones are your bones, and your bones are my bones. And isn't that enough?
Another amazing one. That's beautiful. That's so many things that, like, the whole time I was like, yes, yep, absolutely, definitely. It's so perfect.
Yeah, I feel like that song. I know we talked in a previous episode recently about like kind of my complicated feelings around like the pledge and like that song that poem for me is like the song I can get behind, the country I
Yeah.
believe in. Like she's also from Kentucky. I mean, she lives in Kentucky now. I think of her as an Appalachian girly too, you
Yeah.
know.
I love that.
Uh, so just tell you a little bit more about her to brag on her many accomplishments. She became the 24th Poet Laureate of the United States in June of 2022. Uh, she is the author of many poetry collections, including The Hurting Kind and The Carrying, which won the National Book Critics Circle Award for Poetry, as well as Bright Dead Things. Bright Dead Things is my absolute favorite. I absolutely love that one. I get like prolific, writes so many poems. Um, she earned her MFA from NYU, New York University, and is the recipient of fellowships from the MacArthur Foundation, the Guggenheim Foundation, the New York Foundation for the Arts, Kentucky Foundation for Women. Very well published, the New Yorker, Harvard Review, Pleiades. Yeah, the MacArthur Foundation, typically their grants are genius awards.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're a literal genius, you know? She's a big, cool deal.
Yeah, these are like the names that we know from NPR. Big deal stuff. That was so great.
Yeah, I mean, like even before she was poet laureate, she's like kind of one of the poets that I would kind of aspire to write. Like it's both good and it's getting recognition. So,
Yeah.
thank you for letting me read that poem to you.
Yeah. It reminded me of, do you know the This Land Is Your Land third verse controversy stuff?
I know I've heard it. It's It's ringing the faintest of bells.
Okay, so when she was talking about like stanzas of songs, it reminded me of at the end of This Land Is Your Land, a verse that we don't sing a lot when Woody Guthrie wrote it in the late 50s says, "In the shadow of the steeple, I saw my people by the relief office. As they stood there hungry, I stood there asking, 'Is this land made for you and me?'" And we never sing that
Mm.
one. And it was like ringing all these bells for me where I was like, yeah, there are very literally cases.
Unsung third stanzas.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And often like the most profound ones that we don't want to talk about because we're worried about the controversy of them when they're the most impactful pretty often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking about that Tyler Childers song you brought up a couple weeks ago, "A Long Violent History,"
Yeah.
and like, yeah, challenge you to find a neutral or bland verse in there. Like
Yeah.
they're all pointed.
He has a new album out. It came out last week, and it's pretty different. I'm not going to pass any value judgments on it, but I can objectively say that it is different from anything he's released before, and Rick Rubin produced it. So it's got some like a depth of production that he hasn't had before. So I
Oh,
listened to it for the first time all the
okay.
way through today. I've listened to the singles a couple times, but I gave it my first listen through today, and I will report back once it's settled a little.
Okay. I look forward to that. To check it out.
So um you have something to tell me about.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we close it out, I thought since this is happening a couple weeks before the Hot Sauce Festival, that it would be a cool time to tell you about Oxford's statewide Hot Sauce Festival. We do this North Carolina Hot Sauce Festival here. It's huge. Oxford here in Granville County is our county seat, but we're a town of like 9,000 people, and this is a festival where we have like 15 to 20,000 people in downtown for a day and a half of celebrating all things hot sauce.
That is amazing. Just for hot sauce.
For hot sauce. And also, I think we've rolled into barbecue sauce and spice rubs and a little bit of that like open air street festival kind of vibe. There are 2 stages with live music. There's a pepper eating contest that's
Yes.
sponsored by the biggest pepper grower in the East Coast, Bailey Farms.
Okay.
Um, and like food trucks and local vendors um, with all kinds of fun stuff. There's a classic car show. There's even beer and wine, which like I don't think there were even 2 years ago, but I was like looking on the website this year and it was like there's beer and wine this year.
Okay.
So have all kinds of good time. There's like a kids area. We do like a sensory friendly area. I think our library might have some kind of hand in that because our library has a really cool like sensory cart for folks who might need it. That's totally me speculating, but like it's cool. There's like a whole area you can go to for like that's like a little quieter and chiller and
I love that.
um anyway, so this thing has grown from like one one downtown business hosting it to a thing that's like 16 blocks of
Wow.
downtown. Yeah. Are does that sound like something that's like remotely interesting to you? Do you like spices? Do you like hot sauce? What do you
Yeah,
think?
for sure. I'm like a a medium habanero girly. Like I like some flavor. I don't I don't need like very intense spice. And when I say I don't need it, I mean I'm a coward about like things that are too spicy. But I do like a lot of like I like interesting hot sauce flavors. My brother is a hot sauce head. Like for his birthday, I always just get him hot sauce and try to make it like way hotter than last year's hot sauce. And he has just like leveled up to like Hot Ones level radioactive spice. I never got
Uh-huh.
that bug, but I can appreciate like a good spicy flavor for sure.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is like if I don't get you down here for the hot sauce festival, I am on a mission to scope out the hottest possible thing to give to
Please.
your
Oh my God,
brother.
that would make my Christmas so much easier. Yes. John, if you're listening,
But
guess what it's going to be this year?
oh, and that was funny, and I was like, my John? No, not my John.
No, my brother has an H.
Oh my God, that's delightful. Yeah, but I mean, also we would love to have you. I think it could be like a fun event. It's September 12th and 13th. It's like the night of the 12th. There's like bands and stuff, and then it's like all day the 13th kind of um street fair situation. And so it's a really good time.
Fun. Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, I don't know. It started like decades ago. And in 2009, the General Assembly made the second Saturday in September officially North Carolina Hot Sauce Day. Um, and so that's the day that it is every year. And now it's like one of the biggest economic drivers for our downtown. And like, if there's any day of the year that I would say come to Granville and like explore things, it's totally Hot Sauce Festival Day.
Oh my God, I am so in for just like exploring that. And maybe I'll bring some antacids to that. But who knows what could happen at the Hot Sauce Festival? I mean, I feel like you might expose yourself to a higher risk than you would not at a hot sauce festival.
This is true. And like there's a good time. Like there might be an axe throwing thing or something. Like there's all
Fun.
kinds of good time stuff.
Fun.
I'm so glad I got to tell you about that. I'm so glad I got to tell y'all about that. If you come to the Hot Sauce Festival, feel free to come say hey. I don't know whether the Granville Democrats are going to end up having a booth or whether we're going to end up having our office open and like doing stuff there and encouraging foot traffic, but we're going to do something.
Okay.
So come say hey.
Awesome.
Um, and speaking of bringing the heat, that is it for this episode of the Foxfire Dispatch. If what you heard lit a spark, please help us fan the proverbial flame by sharing this episode with your neighbors, dropping us a note on social media, or emailing us anytime at thefoxfiredispatch@gmail.com with your questions, stories, and ideas for building a better South.
We put out new episodes every Friday, and you can find us on Instagram, YouTube, and Blue Sky at the Foxfire Dispatch, and on TikTok and even Twitter at Foxfire Dispatch.
We are who we're waiting for, dispatchers. So don't forget that. Get in good trouble, and we will see y'all next time.